Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Patrick Lovell, Truth Bomb riffing the con on, I believe it's Monday. Yes, it is Monday, September 18th, 2023. And I'm going to try to keep this short because it's extremely important to connect with you. And I think most of you only listen to things that are short, and that's understandable. But at the same time, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot going on that are validating everything that I've been bringing to you folks time immemorial, it seems like to me. But for the first encounter with me, my name is Patrick Lovell. I'm a muckraking journalist. My work, our work, my team's work is more prolific every single day. We've now offered it free because in this crazy world, the only thing that people buy are lies. So we've made the truth free, and you can find it at www.thecon.tv. And embedded in that unbelievable. There's so many metaphors going through my mind, but I'll call it the Ark of the Covenant. You know, it's the one thing that could actually change everything. It's the one thing that could take down the entirety of this global calamity of deception and diabolical scheming on behalf of power, which is tyranny. And what I'm providing to you is the ultimate in resurrection and exodus, or I should say exodus from corruption and resurrection from tyranny, because this is the $29 trillion truth that's now turned into a $70 trillion truth. And you'll understand that once you understand the mechanics and the blueprint of corruption and power. And what my shortcut is, corruption births and fuels fascism. And we're seeing it all over the place, but I keep getting validated in every single direction. So I'll start with the first thing that was in my mind last night at the end of the day, which is just horrifying when you see it, but there were book burnings in Missouri. Yeah, there's book burnings in Missouri, just like the Third Reich. They're taking a play out of the entire history of the Third Reich and the brown belts, the brown shirts and everything that started to evolve at that time period. And we're seeing it all over the place. We've seen Nazis at Disney World of all things, considering, Ron DeSantis and everything that's happening in the crazy state of affairs in Florida. And it's all around the country. And, then we see these insane messages coming from, of all things, Donald Trump, whose daughter is married to a Jewish guy, whose former Treasury Secretary is, involved with the Saudis that are doing, I think, smoke and mirrors types of business with relations to Saudi Arabia, the ultimate, Middle East theocracy. But they're doing it on behalf of, using this sort of, smoke and mirrors of anti-Semitism while being Jew-loving Jew lovers. And I know that's a horrible thing to say and sound, especially on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, Lashana Tova, for all of you that are part of the tribe. And, but look, man, it's not funny. We've got anti-Semitism on the rise. And what I've known and what I've revealed to you is the next thing that's going to happen, most likely, is that these people are going to start targeting all of the CEOs in Wall Street and on media, and they're going to say, look, the Jews own and run media and finance, and they're the ones that are, destroying everybody. And they're not wrong, except for the Jews that are in those positions didn't do it because they're Jewish. They're just fucking assholes. And so I'm trying to get out in front of the anti-Semitism and just say, look, man, there's just some real fucked up shit going on by way of corruption, and corruption births and fuels fascism. And there's a lot of gymnastic liars out there in every single direction. I'm absolutely convinced that everybody in MAGA, they're all a bunch of grifters, that every one of them are like used car salesmen, timeshare salesmen, people that work in the housing industry, and they're lying and liars loans and all sorts of things. And that's who they, like moths, or I should say, flies on shit. They were attracted to Donald Trump, who's just a maggot. And I think it's hilarious. But at the same time, I'm using this guttural language and I hate to do it. But yeah, I can speak highbrow, I can speak academic, but I'm going to just bring it like it is, because every single day there's another validation. And so, for example, I've been saying forever, I'm like, look, man, you can't trust anybody associated with Tucker Carlson. And I have observed over the course of the last year, I'm going to call it maybe year and a half, everybody from Joe Rogan to Russell Brand to Jimmy Dore to Glenn Greenwald to what's his name, Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate, that were giving props like he was some sort of like, I don't know, real deal. And Tucker Carlson last week ends up doing this like hit job, assassination, defamation of Barack Obama, interviewing this like, 3 decades long strung out junkie on crack, saying that he slept with Donald Trump, sorry, that was kind of a faux pas, with Barack Obama, and Barack Obama was like high on crack or smoking, what is it called, freebasing, I guess, while the other guy was going to town on him. And it's just absurd, because even if it was true, there's no evidence that these guys are revealing. And every single day you see over and over and over on Twitter or X, you see these idiots that are in Congress. And I mean, it's almost so bad with what happened with Lauren Boebert the other night that we forgot to think about who George Santos is, okay? George Santos and Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and this one's not dumb, but boy does he know how to play it. Ted Cruz, I call him Trenchcoat Ted Cruz, and I sent to X text to Ted Cruz, and it got a lot. Ted Cruz that. God, my mind's filled with so many names, I might be actually messing things up. But no, it is Ted Cruz, and the whole thing with Abbott, with him being able to skirt the corruption charges is just insane. That's how corrupt Texas is, and no, it's not Ted Cruz. What am I? God, it'll come back to me in a second. It is Ted Cruz. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with my brain? I've got my mind thinking about so many different things, especially because I'm thinking about Lauren Boebert actually providing X on X. And I thought a couple of weeks ago that anybody who's ever looked at X, I wondered if they accidentally went into porno, because it just seems like you're ending a porno site. And lo and behold, it is, because Lauren Boebert, the woman who talks to us from a high holy platter of morality about, I don't know what, corruption and abortion and all of the other elements, like she's some sort of church lady when we know she's a high school dropout that, I guess strip danced for a long time. And I guess she's a grandmother at the age of like less than 50 at that point, but she's all into guns. I mean, I guess there's definitely a demographic that she speaks to. But I'll tell you, the thing that was speaking to me was her getting it on with her boyfriend, for who I understand. And I don't know if I believe this from what was on X, but I think he owns a trans gay bar, so good on him for that. And he's feeling her up and going to town on her. And she's looking around in this dark theater, which apparently was which was like a family affair for Beetlejuice, right? It was a play, and they're going after it, and she decides to reach down and grab his and yank his noggin and all the whole thing. And and all of all of this stuff that people are reacting to, it's like we just watched some sort of controversial like play in an NFL game where the refs may have got it wrong, and we all have this kind of like come from like, should it have happened, or who is she, and we all have sex and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, that misses the point. I don't care if she's hooking up. If she has a fetish for public sex, okay, that's great. If you want to be a strip dancer, that's fine. If you want to be a star in X films, that's great. I don't personally think that that's somebody who would get my vote for being my representative, but hey, maybe that's what everybody who goes to church in Colorado thinks that they pretend to support, when she's exactly the opposite of what they say they are, unless internally they're so sexually suppressed, they're like, yeah, but that's kind of what we're all about, which is what I think is part and parcel to the whole thing, because we've seen forever all of these people from the right wing and MAGAs saying things like it's all about the sex trafficking and Epstein and how horrible it is, and oh my God, this grandiosing, and the church lady bit on the whole deal. Meanwhile, Trump was getting the massage therapist, or Epstein was, from Trump's Mar-a-Lago. So the hypocrisy is insane in every direction. And I'll say it again, what Lauren Boebert did, hey, that actually, I had to stop watching it, because I was saying to Ted Cruz, I call him Trenchcoat Ted Cruz and Matt Gaetz. I'm like, you guys have watched this video 1,000 times. I put my life on it that you guys couldn't get enough of it. And then you start talking about, well, yeah, it's not a big deal. And by the way, mainstream media kept saying that, oh yeah, Lauren Boebert had admitted and apologized for smoking a vape, and they didn't make any mention of the freaking total feel-up situation that millions of us saw. This is the disconnect. Mainstream media is not even, calling it for everything that everybody already saw. And so it's like, okay, you can't trust mainstream. You can't trust these denizens of deception on X, and then that led me to, oh my God, my favorite, right, Russell Brand, and I say that sarcastically because he once was, and now I can't stand the guy because he's MAGA bait, he's MAGA clickbait, whether he knows it or not. But then he gets into this whole potpourri of, basically, I think, boy, what was he doing? He was predating on teenagers, apparently. Okay. I don't know. He's a rock star. He's a super good looking guy. He's incredibly smart. He was on drugs at the time. Is it possible that the women that he was involved with were, copacetic with the whole thing? Yeah, I would think so, but I don't know the details, nor am I going to make judgment on it because I don't have all the details. But I will make judgment on the fact that it's been easy to see that Russell Brand has been in the camp with Tucker Carlson, who has no credibility, and now Tucker Carlson doesn't have any credibility. Neither does Russell Brand. Neither does any of them. Neither does Matt Taibbi is the biggest disappointment of all to me. And then, of course, going back to the likes of Jimmy Dore and Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald, a great journalist in his own right, but at the same time, he's lost his credibility. It's a shit show. Everybody is insane. Nothing has any credibility. I've been telling you for like the last 5 months that we've saw with Fox get sued with Dominion with the subpoenas that Rupert Murdoch paid $787 million to prevent having this whole thing aired out in court publicly. So he, just admitted behind the scenes that, yeah, our platform business model is to lie. Meanwhile, all of this is on top of what I opened up with Donald Trump and the whole MAGA white supremacist, power play mishigas, which just seems like this mental, sort of gymnastics sort of thing. Well, at the same time, they hate Jews. They're involved with Jews. That's why it was, by the way, that's why it's trending this morning that it's liberal Jews, that it's not conservative Jews. It's not Orthodox Jews. It's liberal Jews. That's the problem. By the way, on that, look, listen, I'm leading a tidal wave populist crusade to purge corruption and drown the fascism that it fuels. It's going to take your buy-in. Everybody's got to come on board. I've got the $29 trillion truth. I'm leading exodus, honestly, against corruption to create the resurrection of the American dream. The Enlightenment is on the other side of all of this darkness. I laughed at the whole thing because it's that absurd. It's ridiculous, but it's horrible because when things like this get spun out of control, the bottom line is tragedy occurs, and tragedy has already happened. Tens of millions of people were set up in the largest criminal grift and conspiracy in history, which is the exact same thing that the government is revealing to us that all things Trump is guilty of. Honestly, it's just that it's monumentally bigger. And yet they're proving to us and demonstrating that, oh yeah, Trump broke all these laws, which he did, but so did Wall Street. Only monumentally bigger. Guys, it's simply about corruption. That's it. And if you come on with me, if you, me, and everybody you see who isn't a Nazi, who believes in dignity and decency, integrity, sustainability, beauty, we come together in unity, we will defeat the misery of tyranny and we will usher in the clean new deal. Failure is not an option. Rise, roar, revolt, onwards and upwards.